And just like that, it's time for our weekly roundup of all the things Lady just ain't gonna do this week. And here we go. Number one, conspiracy theories gone conspiracy, but that doesn't excuse why we keep on killing Asian people. Now, in the news this week, we learned that 35-year-old Christina Yuna Lee was killed by a 25-year-old man in New York, just weeks after 40-year-old Michelle Go was pushed to her death on a subway track in Manhattan. Both news accounts describe the assailants as possibly having a history of mental health issues. But it's no coincidence that hate crimes against the Asian diasporic community have been rising considerably since former President Donald Trump called COVID-19 the China virus. And while the mainstream media isn't discussing these tragic deaths as hate crimes, they absolutely should be. It's no secret that the political climate has created a social climate that is increasingly unsafe for, well, most of us. And I was yesterday's year old when I learned that more than 61% of these crimes have been committed against women. For more on how you can help fight back against anti-Asian violence, please check out AAPI Women Lead and support my sister, Dr. Connie Woon. We had her here on the show. And support their work to end all forms of violence against us. You can find them and their work at I'mReadyMovement.org. Other things Lady just ain't gonna do this week. Well, the results are in San Francisco, and the San Francisco School Board recall was wildly successful. Now, folks, in our December grab bag, someone asked a question about the recalls happening in San Francisco, in particular, the San Francisco School Board recall that was targeting 3 members of the board specifically. This whole thing was kind of a hot mess from top to bottom. The hyper-focus on changing school names rather than addressing systemic racism in the school district, the uproar itself over changing the school names in the first place, and the way some of the members even threw each other under the bus when they were being recalled. I mean, it was a lot, cha. But look, who suffers? The students, if we're being honest. I'm not even going to say I'm happy about this recall. I don't think it was necessary personally, and I think it created unnecessary space for unsavory forces to use these mechanisms in ways that are dangerous. But I am very interested in what happens next. And hopefully, whatever it is, it places students at the center and ensures that we're fighting back against any and all attempts to not teach students the complicated history of this country. We hope that it ensures that all students have the tools they need to succeed and ensures that all schools and teachers are resourced equitably. So we'll be keeping our eye on what's going on with this recall and the results. Let's dive into things that Lady loves this week. Well, there's only one on my list, and that is DJs and rooftops and warm nights. Now, Lady has been trying to do all the things before she says, see you later, to Oakland. And one particularly lovely experience she had was on a rooftop, under the moon and stars, with a DJ who was playing the best music, and he was cute. And you know, you had a great time when you stay out way too late and you keep asking for just one more song. Lady loves those nights when you just feel alive. So, more of that in 2022 and beyond, please and thank you. And don't forget the tequila. Okay, y'all. Well, you asked, and so you shall receive another installation of Lady's Love Notes. So this week, as in past weeks, we are covering the trials and tribulations of being newly single and dating in your 40s. And I guess it's not that new anymore. It's like more than 6 months. Anyway, one day we're going to add the lovely parts, but we got to have some of those first. And I promise you when we do, I will add them to the mailbag. So let's get into it. This week on Ladies' Love Notes, I want to talk about a particular phenomenon that I am noticing in men. Cis-het men in particular, but it is not limited to them, child, because the patriarchy doesn't discriminate, it just changes forms. Anywho, I am noticing a fascinating pattern that I just need to address. It's the I'm an evolved man, meaning I don't call women females, and I mostly respect women, and I try not to mansplain or be a complete pig. And I also categorize women into two camps: women you fuck and women you marry. The women you fuck are the women you just don't give that much to. You might just hit it and quit it, and you're honest with them about it, so there's not much to see here, folks. They're not the women you want to settle down with, or share your dreams with, or maybe even the women you want to spend time with, besides getting your dick sucked. And I'm sorry if that was crass, but for a lot of my life, my besties were cishet men, and that's just a fact. So let's get into the women you marry, okay? So the women you marry are the women who you put on pedestals. You open doors for them, and you pay for their meals, and you walk on the street side of the sidewalk. You show them your sweet side, the one you don't share with your boys. You make love to her. You love her and you spend on her, because that is one way you know how to show her you love her. Now, these women, the women you marry, they are untouchable. They are to be placed in a glass case and admired and not sullied with the worldly issues of men. Now, I am talking to a man like this, and before you judge me, just know there is a lot more to him than that. And also know that this challenge is not specific to him. I mean, I grew up with men like this, and I know men like this, and they are good men, but this is not a good dynamic. So this man that I'm talking to, he has these tendencies, and it's not his fault, but it is his problem, if you catch my drift. Anywho, let me give some context to what I'm about to say here so you fully understand why I'm about to say what I'm finna say next. So let me just start off by saying I'm queer. That means I do not subscribe to boxes or labels about who I do or don't, should or shouldn't have attractions to. And more than that, it means that I am open to building intimacy on many levels with many different genders and sexualities. Just not all at the same time. I'm not poly. I've been queer for a long ass time, but it's also been a long ass time since I dated a cishet man. A very, very long time, like nearly 2 decades. But back in the day, I used to, and let me tell you, dating cishet men in my 40s isn't really that different from dating cishet men in my 20s, and I feel a way about that. You know, sometimes I just approach the shit with like a curiosity, right? A curiosity of the kind where you're watching the Science Channel and you're high as fuck and you say to yourself, wow, this is fascinating. But the other way I approach this shit is like what happens when I go to the mechanic because I need some particular things done. And the mechanic sees that I'm a woman and not a bad looking one at that. And he decides, 1, I must not really know what I want or need. And 2, that he's going to tell me what I need. But the problem with that is this. I don't need any of that shit you're telling me I need. I just want the shit I came for. You feel where I'm going here? Okay, well, here we go a little farther. Now, one thing I really want for cishet men to have is space for emotional connection and intimacy that isn't based on these ridiculous tropes, but I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Now, anyhow, I was recently talking with this man who I am super into. He's going through some stuff, y'all, and it's all real stuff. He's been through a lot, he's holding a lot, and I think he's on the verge of some really big breakthroughs, but he is not quite there yet. In any case, we've been talking through some stuff, and I told him that I was here for him, like for real, and that I feel like what gets in the way is that he treats me like I'm too delicate, to which he replied, "You are." Now, I've been sitting with this because it stung. I mean, I know what he meant, and I really suspect it has to do with this dynamic that I just laid out here. Women you fuck and women you marry. And it has all kinds of implications for the relationships that we build. Now, first of all, telling a woman she is too delicate is a no-no, child. So let's begin there. And as a Black woman, no less, nigga, we don't have time or space to be delicate. But let's get to the larger issue, which is this. Could it be, perhaps, that it's not me who's too delicate, but maybe it's you who can't accept or perhaps think you don't deserve love? Especially from a woman you know has the capacity to do so and do it well, if I do say so myself. Now, this nigga is really treating me like I'm a 75-year-old woman who's had 12 kids and 44 grandkids, and now I've earned my rest and my pedestal. No, please don't. For the love of God and everything holy, and literally on Mary Had a Little Lamb, just on some purely feminist shit, y'all need to quit this shit immediately. We are so much more complex than this, and you will have better relationships with women in general the sooner you get to understanding this and integrating it into your practice. On a relationship tip, but also on a friendship tip. Now, here's what's wrong in the mechanic example. When I come in and I know I need an oil change and I need to fix my tire, and you assume I don't know what an oil change is and that I'm too delicate to fix my own fucking tire, you got me fucked up. Black women have never been afforded pedestals. Those were only ever reserved for white women. And so to place Black women on pedestals of your own making, that limits our ability and our agency to determine for ourselves not only whether or not we even want to be on the damn pedestal in the first place, and I know I don't, and I really prefer not to be, for real, but also whether or not that's what we want from you in particular. Agency is the name of the game here, folks, and anything less than full agency for women is straight bullshit. And frankly, it's white supremacy at its worst. Now, this is exactly how white women became valued only for their reproductive labor. And it's literally how white women became white, and all other women who were not white, like Black women, weren't seen as women. Not only were we fetishized for the kind of labor we were forced to do, make babies and till fields, but our bodies were not seen as worthy of protection, nor were they seen as ours. Black people have never been afforded the opportunity to have agency over our own lives, so as Black people, we need to double the fuck down on making sure that we practice self-determination. Not on some general-ass bullshit, but in our daily lives and especially in our relationships. So what I'm saying to you here is that Black women don't want your fucking pedestal. We want your love and your attention and your respect, and we want to be engaged as equals on all levels. We want you to know that we are completely the fuck capable of knowing what we want. No, we shouldn't have to deal with a quarter of the shit we deal with regularly, including your shit. But honey, when a Black woman tells you I am here with you and I am here for you, you better believe she has turned it upside down, spun it around, taken the air pressure, and had it appraised. Don't second guess us. We know you think you're being chivalrous, which some of you mistake as feminism, but while chivalry is a nice set of gestures, it can also be rooted in an assumption that women cannot protect ourselves and that we are too fucking feeble-minded to know what we want and what we don't want. I know you fucking lying. So yes, I'm at the mechanic to get my oil changed and my tire fixed. But newsflash, I can change my own oil. Seriously, I actually can. And I can change my own tire. No, seriously, I actually can. But I'm here at the mechanic because I want you to do it. And besides, I just got my nails done. But also, besides my most excellent nail art, and it is really good, shout out to Atomic Owl. Thank you, Masako. Aside from my most excellent nail art, please let Lady just say in this love note that when you're into someone, like really into them, and you see that that person is in pain, it is more than excruciating not to be able to stand back to back with them while they fight their demons. Now, I'm not saying I'm gonna fight your battles for you, because I'm not. They're yours, and they're yours alone. And I got my own fucking demons to fight, child. But I am saying that I will and can be here while you fight, so that you have a soft place to rest and recharge so you can fight another day. Not because I have to, not because I don't know what I'm saying, but because that's what I want to do. And I have deemed you worthy of that. Now, of course, ultimately, the choice is yours. And if you choose to continue to put Lady in a glass case so that she can be preserved and without dust or dirt or grime, like a rose sprayed with chemicals that you get from those people who run up on you in restaurants selling roses to couples, that's your choice. But then own it as your choice. It ain't got nothing to do with lady being delicate. And perhaps in actuality, you're the one too delicate to let a woman who cares for you really and truly actually see you. And perhaps you're also too delicate to trust that she can see you and care for you because you are beautifully human, not in spite of it. Last thing to say here, in case this man is in fact listening, which he does sometimes, this message was 100% absolutely for you. No vague casting here, boo. And I'd say your name, but I don't want people all up in my business like that. But perhaps somebody out there can relate. Can I get a witness?